Hey traders, John Howell here. Welcome to today's coaching video. I've got a bit of a story to tell you guys. Got to give you an update across the markets as well too. Very strong market right now, right? Stock market continue to make some moves. Gold, silver, we're even getting the mining sector. Like I'm looking at the mining sector, very strong moves. And I want to give you actually a couple of different stories. One story about, I had a phone call with someone recently and it's actually a warning signal for the markets. Like this is a massive warning about something big's about to hit the markets. And I want to share that with you, but also I want to share something with you that happened to me a long time ago that resonates with what's happening in the markets right now and some emotions that is coming up inside of me. And if it's happening in me, I know it's screaming at a lot of you guys. So I want to share with you when it comes down to these environments of these trading to really sort of help you out. So let's get straight into it, guys. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, so let me start off with, I'm gonna get into gold, silver, and the stock market, but let me share a story with you here, okay? So whenever me as a coach, right? So I have a coaching program, no duh, right? So I have a free course, I have a coaching program, link all the details in the description below, right? But here's the thing. Me be able to get a barometer of what's happening in the environment. I'll be able to see the comments on some of my YouTube videos, right? So I get to see my comments on my YouTube videos. I also get to see, right? What's happening on the phone calls, right? Because I speak to people every single week. Every week I'm on the phone with talking to people, and I get to see a barometer of where people are at right now. And whenever I start to see the barometer of people starting to come in these markets, I start to see where they're at, right? And so I'll give you one example of a story. I spoke to a gentleman just recently, young gentleman, and he is right now, he is long these markets, gold, silver, but he's long all the indices, right? Silver, Russell, Nasdaq, Dow, and S&P. But what he is that he's long this, but he's long the leveraged ETFs. So he's long leveraged right now in these markets. And I sat there and I'm just like, wow, this is actually a warning sign because I'm getting so many people now that are making a lot of money by being long this market. And so whenever I look at the stock market right now, like the S&P actually had another update. I said that because I got out of my options a couple of days ago. I should, you know, even I do that, right, guys? You know, like I made like just over 50% return on my options. If I bring up this level through here, right? Let me just bring up this chart through here, so that way it's much easier for you guys to see. Or actually, it's much easier for me just to go through that. Okay. Now, by the way, guys, before I get into that, the reason why I use black bars is because trading is an emotional thing, right? So I'm trying to do whatever I can to remove the emotion of that, right? I'm trying to remove the emotion and use a logic about my decisions in these markets, because the more that I can remove that emotion, the better trader I'm going to be. So that's where I do use candlesticks. So this is a candlestick chart. I do use candlesticks, but a lot of the times when I'm looking at it, I'm trying to look at it from a non-emotional point of view. Like I want to trade instead of like what's really going on here, right? So that's the reason why I use that there. So, you know, again, like I look at this here is, I made a nice 50% return on this trade here, but it could have been a lot more right now. You know, when you go through those environment, that sort of thing, right? It's like here I am being ungrateful because I just made 50%. Anyway, I'm going down a tangent for you guys. So now I'm seeing the stock market being really high, and we'll continue to push up very high. This is really dangerous for you guys, okay? If you guys are not long these markets right now, I know what is going to start to happen with you guys, right? You're going to start to get that FOMO, right? There's a lot of FOMO coming into this place. I know there's a lot of FOMO right now, right? If you're waiting for that pullback, waiting for a correction, which I believe we're going to see some sort of correction, I believe, right? Then I know that some of you guys may be waiting for that correction as well too, right? So the whole thing about this is that by speaking to these people on the phone, we are about to, and it's never the exact, it's not like today, right? It's not like today, but we're about to enter a phase where we get a really good correction out of the stock market, and we're about to enter that phase because I'm seeing so many people being net long these markets, and I'm seeing so many people, you know, with their cape on the shoulder, right? Like I'm the man. So the really big thing about that, guys, is I'm getting a lot of people now actually being net long, and I'm getting even these young kids right now who are net long on leveraged ETFs, and it's just like, oh man, this is a house of cards. This is a house of cards. I'm gonna come down, right? But on the flip side of that, if you know how to trade the markets, then it's not gonna really matter, right? It's not gonna really matter. But on a short-term TA, guys, what has actually happened with the actual good old stock market here? Now the stock market has continued to push up through here. I actually believe this is actually a bit of a sucker rally when it comes to this. We're just going sideways through there, as you can see. So we're just going sideways, and now we're actually pushing back up again as well too. So I don't believe this has got sustained behind it. I believe coming into next week, I believe we're going to start to see a bit of a reversal, and this may be that final push to the upside before we start to see that correction. Especially now, seeing that seeing some people I'm speaking to right now. There's a barometer of people being really bullish and making a lot of money in this bull market right now. So that's what I'm seeing through there, guys. When it comes to the S&P 500, we are pushing to the upside, but we are very, 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 very long in this market right now, right? And what I mean by that is, right, look at all of this up move from here. There comes a point in time, guys, when it's all about being smart about the way you're trading these markets, right? Just be smart about the way you're trading these markets. And don't let this FOMO draw you in right now about what's happening right now. And that's what I was actually saying to my coaching clients this week, because I'm actually with my coaching clients every day. And if you're interested in joining that group where you're with me every single day, you see my trades, I'm coaching you and I'm helping you, then there's you can apply for that link in the description there. But the whole thing about what I was talking about is what's happening right now across these markets is that the number one thing to trading, right? Like the reason why trading is so difficult is it comes down to really one thing, and that's the ability to be able to control the emotions, right? So what is that? This is the reason why trading is so hard, right? So and the reason why trading is so hard for most people is because most of it's controlling your emotions, right? It's not the trading system. My trading system is amazing and it works most of the time. But the controlling of the emotions is, okay, I need to be disciplined, and I need to control myself of not having the urge of getting into something when it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I need to have the patience, right? Control my nerve to want to get in, and I need to be patient and have some patience while I'm waiting for my next really good trade to come around, right? So if I'm trading the daily charts, I might have a couple of weeks where there's no trades, and then I get a good trade, right? This is the reason why a lot of people actually have problems with when they're trading, is because it all comes back down to controlling the emotions, right? So there's the reason. There's a couple of main layers that I've realized over the last 20 years of trading the markets. The first layer is the identification. The identification is actually what actually is a good setup, right? That's the first level. So what actually is a really good quality setup in the marketplace? So that's the first thing. You got to understand that, right? If you don't understand that, you haven't even got step number one, right? So, but then once you've done the training and you know what you're looking for, and you go into the market and you're looking for these patterns, that's step number one, right? Now you've done the training in that. Step number two we need to, before we actually enter the trades, now we need to apply what? Some consistency. We're looking at the market every day. We're scanning the markets. Some discipline. Discipline is like I'm not gonna just settle for any ordinary thing. I want a really good quality setup that meets my rules. And patience, right? And the ability to be able to be patient and wait for these trades. And it might take a few days, it might take a few weeks. Heck, the way that I trade on the stock market, there might be 2, 3, 4 weeks with no trades. And what do you do within those times, right? It's that patience time. When it comes down to that, that's the second level, right? So first level is the identification of what actually am I looking for in a setup. Then the second level, the reason why trading is so hard for people is firstly, people don't even know what they're looking for. Then the layer of I need to control my emotions and be patient instead of wanting to get in now, right? And guess what? That's all like FOMO, I'm missing out, I better get in now because I want to make some money, right? That's that level. Then when we actually get into a trade, now it's really controlling the emotions, right? It's controlling the emotions, for example, like letting your profits run and cutting your losses short. That is hard for a lot of people, right? Because if you're in a profit and you're watching your profit go up, now you're fearful of losing that profit, right? So you want to get out really, really quickly. So you're fearful of losing that profit, but to actually have really big profits in the markets, you must let the trade run, right? And so therefore, having the ability to actually not let your fear of losing the profit get out too early, right? But then on the flip side is that when you're in a losing trade, not letting your emotions say, well, it's going to come back, right? We start to get into hope, right? When you're in a losing position, you know you should be out, and therefore you're like, oh, I hope it's going to come back. I hope it's going to, like controlling that there. It's like, no, hang on a minute. It's just a losing trade. I need to get out of it, right? And so that's the reason why trading is so difficult for a lot of people, because there's those 3 pillars there in the marketplace. Now, when it comes to trade management, for me, that third level of letting your profits run, cutting losses short, I have simple, I have a couple of main rules that I use when I'm in a trade to maximize my profit within that trade. And I use some letting your profits run techniques, and using techniques by looking at the markets. I also use a short-term moving average, like a 9 moving average. So this 9 moving average is also a short-term moving average I use for my profits there. So that's the reason why, guys, like if you guys are struggling, this is the reason why coaching is so important for you guys. If you actually seriously want to become professional at this thing, right, and actually want to do really well for this thing, right? Because there's those 3 main things out there. Step number 1 is the easy part. Like I can teach you the easy part just by doing, having, a free training, by teaching you the step number 1 is what goes into a good setup. Then the reason why most people right now is because, if you, the reason why most people can't do really well is the step number 2, which is the consistency, discipline, and patience. And then step number 3, which is the actually when you're actually in a good trade, then having the ability to let your profits run. So that's the reason why trading is so hard for most people. And that's the reason why you need to have this ability to be able to be part of a group like my coaching, where you're actually, 1, you're learning the techniques, 2, you're seeing the examples, but 3, you're actually, you're actually part of a group that's actually helping you with the emotion part. And like, for example, this entire week with my group, every single day, I said to them, the number 1 value, the number 1 key this week, or probably, and I've been saying this month actually, I said the number 1 value this month is going to be patience. We must be patient. We must be patient. We must be patient. None of this just jumping in any ordinary thing, right? No FOMO. And I know people are starting to get FOMO right now, especially across all these markets where we are right now. So it's probably going to be the FOMO is going to really, really, really hurt you there. So anyway, traders, that's the 3-level pillar there. Don't know why I went into that, but didn't plan on doing that, but hope that helped you out anyway. If you are struggling with your trading right now, it may be those 3 pillars. If you don't even have pillar number 1 done, then forget pillar number 2 and 3. Right? Pillar number 1 is what? What actually am I looking for in a high quality setup? How do I qualify a high quality setup? Now, the second layer to that is how to identify and qualify a setup that's likely to make a big move. Now we're talking, right? So not just identifying a good quality setup, but a good quality setup that's like going to make a really big move. Because once you know how to see that, and throughout the year you're going to see these trades appear, right? Once you know how to see that, now we're talking, right? That's pillar number one. Then pillar number two is about patience, consistency, and then pillar number three is the emotions while you're in the trade as well too, right? So those three pillars. But if you don't even actually have pillar number one right now, what are you doing? Like, why are you trading? What are you doing? Do you actually really want to be a professional trader that makes money year after year after year for the rest of your life? Or are you just going to be trading the markets? Because if you're trading the markets right now with no game plan at all, you may be long right now, but guess what? It's going to be times where you're going to say, man, I was wrong, right? So just keep that in mind. Anyway, enough of that tangent down that spiral through there. So let's go. That's the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. I truly believe, guys, the Russell is the market. This is one market, guys, that I'm truly watching for right now. It's one of these markets that I'm just getting really, really, really excited for. I truly believe, guys, that once we really start to break up above these levels here on the Russell, then we could really start to have some really big moves out of this level here, right? So just looking at this level, as you can see, this is the Russell here. And I'm just looking at these levels. Yeah, so once we break this level here, guys, like the next, it could possibly start to make a move up to there, right? Oh, geez. Burping all over the place. Green drink burp. Right, so we actually have that through there. We have this sideways movement, and then we have this period through here. So one thing I'm seeing right now is what I'm seeing all this here, right? And I'm seeing all this here. If we do start to get a break above that 210 on this IWM, the ETF for the Russell, oh man, there could be some really big moves, right? So for me, guys, when looking at especially the Nasdaq and the S&P, no FOMO right now, right? No FOMO, no FOMO. Do not be just jumping in right now, okay? I know there's so much FOMO right now. I can just sense it in the marketplace. And plus I'm getting so many people being long these markets. Anyway, so let's go look at this gold and silver. So what we actually got through here on silver is actually we got which is really interesting, right? Look at this here. So we actually got, that's that level through there somewhere, I would say. So we got this sort of, we had this sort of false breakdown. We had this come down to this support level, had this breakdown level here, and now we're broken back to the upside. Is silver getting ready for a really big move, right? Is this part of the false breakdown before we start to see move? We come back up through here, but we really need, once we start to get back above 32, if we get back above 32, then I believe silver is probably getting ready for that move down. I actually thought, just like gold, now gold's still in on a short-term level, guys. Gold's still in this level through here, and there's, you know, is this the time, right? For me, I don't wait. I always wait for confirmation with my trading setup. I have my setup, what I'm looking for, and then I have my confirmation candle to say, okay, now's the time I should be entering the markets, right? And I teach you all that in the course below. But the whole thing about what I'm seeing here is, that's the reason why, like, for me right now, guys, it's like, is this time the time that's going to make a big move, right? People say yes, people say no. It's a gamble, right? It's a toss of the coin. Now, I am very bullish gold long term, but right now on a short term technical level basis, is that we'll have to wait and see what actually happens here. I definitely want to see this thing start to break above these highs up here, but right now, guys, we're still stuck in this overall sort of sideways pattern from here. So one of the markets that I am still watching for, guys, and I believe there's so much upside potential, is the energy sector, right? So looking at this energy sector through here, let's go to the 1 year chart. If I look at this energy sector here, look at this here, I'm squeezing this up here. We definitely do have sort of something going on like that through there, right? That's that level all through there, possibly, right? It's just a trend line, really. I just say it's a trend line, right? Because we can really draw trend lines where we want them to be, right? But look at this level here. We come up through here and we've come down through here. So the energy sector for me, guys, is one of those markets that is like, oh, I definitely do see we're probably likely to start to make some really, really, really nice moves out of the energy sector real soon. We're coming down. We're basing out. Yeah, and especially having this is what's known as you can just this type of phase through here, guys. It's building a lot of energy to make another move in the markets from here. So I personally getting ready with the energy sector. I think the energy sector is an amazing sector to be to be focused on. So okay, traders. So one thing I want to do right now is I want to tell you about a story that happened to me a long time ago. And I think it's going to really, really help some people out there when it comes to your trading right now. See, back when I first started trading, guys, I'm probably like you guys, right? I've been trading the markets now for 20 years. But back when I first started trading, I had no idea. Like, you just, like, okay. And you go down this rabbit hole, don't you? Of learning this, everything you can about the markets. And then you realize what's a moving average? What's a stochastic? RSI, MACD, Weeb%, Bollinger Band. Right? Oh, weekly charts, daily charts. What does that mean? Moving averages. Which moving average? Oh, it's the secret 86 moving average. Oh, no. It's the 200 because the funds use the 200. Oh, no. The funds use the 50. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I'm laughing because, like, I was down that rabbit hole. It's like, because for me, guys, most of my approach to these markets has always been, I want to make money this year so I can pay the bills. That's always been my focus. So I don't have to go work a job. Forget what's going to happen in the next 5 years, right? That was back then, right? When you start to get a bit of money behind you, you start to put allocations and all that sort of stuff, right? But back when I first started trading, I'm just like, okay, I have no qualifications behind me. The only qualifications that I do have is here's a shovel, here's a hoe and a wheelbarrow, and let's go dig out an old grass, an old garden, and let's create some retaining walls and some, rockeries. Remember rockeries? If you guys remember rockeries back in the day, I'm not sure if they're still in fashion right now. I haven't done landscape gardening for a while now, but that's where I was, right? So getting involved with the stock market, I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what to focus on. So you go down this rabbit hole. Oh no, it's the Fibonacci. Oh no, it's the Elliott wave. Oh no, it's this moving average. Oh no, it's the Forex trading system, or it's this trading system. It's that, and you go down these different type of systems and approaches and methods, right? Because you're just trying to learn, right? You just don't know. I didn't know anything about what a stock was, right? Remember, like I grew up with my father being a landscape gardener, having his own landscape gardening business. That's what I learned was, okay, what's the different types of turfs out there, right? And what's the type of turf that you actually have on a football field for people that play football or soccer so it can grow fast, kaikiri, right? Or is it a really nice lush green that's something that grows slower, but it's got a really nice good look to it, and that's more like buffalo, right? And then you've got like what's actually on a golf course, that's more like cooch, right? But cooch tends to actually have a bit more weeds in it, but if you maintain it, then it's actually a really, really nice lawn to have. That's more cooch. For you landscape gardeners out there, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. For you guys, you go, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. Anyway, I'm going back to my roots right now with my father, right? But that's what I grew up with. I didn't grow up with investments. I grew up with, you want to make a lot of money, man? Buy and hold a property for 10 years, right? So that's where I grew up from. So getting involved with the markets when I was about, I've just recently turned 40 myself. I started when I was 20 years of age. And my whole focus is that I don't want to be a laborer for the rest of my life because that's all I'm good at, right? I'm laboring and doing landscape gardening and building walls and retaining walls. Like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, right? Now, obviously for the short term, yes, right? So back when I was 20, again, I've been doing it for 20 years now. When I was 20, I started getting access to this information about the markets and different covered strategies around the markets and reading the markets. That's why, guys, when I come to you right now, when I come to you from 20 years of experience, and most of the fluff and junk out there is crap because the techniques that I teach you, the stuff that I teach you, is universal based principles across all markets. All markets are the same thing, right? It's the same machine, same humans trading all markets out there. So whether it's Bitcoin, any cryptocurrencies, the foreign exchange markets, commodities, gold, silver, stocks, 15-minute charts, it's all the same principles, right? So one thing I've learned is there's actually really a good handful of really powerful techniques that you can apply to any market to get an understanding what's going on, identify good trading setups, whether it's a 15-minute chart on Bitcoin or whether it's a weekly chart on the stock market. You know exactly what to look for. Bit of a hint, L-shaped pattern. for you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. The L-shaped pattern, right? It just works, right? It just works. It's so powerful, right? And this, like, I was actually sharing a couple of trades that actually happened on the crypto market this week, right? Over the last couple of days. So as the crypto has been coming down, guess what? Those shorter time frame charts, the hourly charts and 15-minute charts, have presented beautiful opportunities to short the crypto market. So goes back to what we're looking. Anyway, so back to when I first started. That's where I grew up from. I'm just like, oh. So just like most people do, right? When I first started trading, I got a little bit of initial success, and I thought, oh, I got lucky. All right? I got lucky in a big bull market. So when I first started trading, guys, I got lucky in a big bull market. So try this. When I first started trading, I initially got very, very, very lucky in a big bull market. And no, there wasn't anything wrong with the video just then. Right? Why am I saying that? Because what came afterwards was, oh, this game's easy. My ego, like, oh man, you do this one, right? You got this one going on. The big cape, right? The big cape. But after a while, that cape becomes sore. Like right now, my right shoulder is sore because I was doing heavy deadlifts. I was doing what was I doing yesterday for deadlifts? I was doing what's that? I was doing 150 kgs in the pounds. So I was doing about 330 pound deadlifts yesterday. And but that was at the end of the match, and I was doing cleans and snaps, snatches, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so right now my shoulder's sore, right? It's like the cape on the back, right? So anyway, so the reason why I'm mentioning that story is because eventually, after a while, you start to make decisions and everything starts to become very, very heavy. But initially, guess what ended up with me? I had initial success. And then, guess what? Then reality hit me hard. Reality hit me real hard. I was the king. I was this. I was that. Right? And so then I end up man, if I just had more money to my name right now, I'd make so much money. So I went and borrowed money. And that's how the bull market finished. And we went through a correction phase for, I think, a period of 3 or 6 months, and I had no idea what to do, and I was net long, and I was leveraged, and it all came crashing down. And I remember at that time I thought, man, I'm actually almost about to go bankrupt right now, because all this money I borrowed from a friend, he's now threatening to send me bankrupt. And it was at this time, guys, where I just like, oh, man. And at that time, I did a lot of courses, right? I was doing a lot of courses. Now, this is a good 3, 4, 5 years of my first 3, 4, 5 years, somewhere around about there, of what I'm saying here. That's the journey, right? Initially started well, borrowed money, lost money, and all that sort of stuff. And because I really didn't know what to focus on or what to do, right? And just like most people, like, it's like, okay, there's this market here, right? And then on top of all of that, if we are not used to making a lot of money at all, and we can start to put on one trade, and within a few days make as much money as we do trading, working a whole month, something starts to, what? Are you saying I looked at the markets for half an hour a day, which I do. That's what I do. I trade the markets for half an hour a day. Half an hour, maybe an hour a day. And in the last couple of days, I've actually made just as much money as I did working 8 hours a day for the last month. Something starts to like, and then after a while, you're like, oh man, well, I'm not really doing anything. I'm not really helping society and blah, 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 right? So what ended up happening is that I ended up moving with my mother and father-in-law. My father-in-law ended up giving me, lending me $5,000 because I begged him if he could give me some money. I then went and started trading the futures markets, right? So at night, all night, I was trading the futures markets, Nasdaq, Russell, Dow. I was trading 1 minute charts, 2 minute charts, 5 minute charts, all the way down to a 40, I think it was a 44 tick chart. Now, what is a tick chart, right? A tick chart is a transaction chart. Now, one transaction could be what? 5 contracts. The next transaction could be 50 contracts, right? So it's just transactions. And whenever there is 44, I think it was 44 I was using, it was something like that, but it was definitely a transaction chart. So whenever the 44 transaction happened, that's when the bar completed, and then the next bar happened. So I went all the way down to there, right? But again, guys, even back in those days, I had no idea how to really understand these markets, right? I didn't know how to understand the big picture analysis. So whenever I'm looking at, say, the daily charts right now, it's so important to understand where we are in the weekly charts. And I didn't actually understand how to put those things together to really get a good understanding of what's going to be a high quality trade. And so I remember borrowing the $5,000 from my father-in-law, and the very first night, I did everything wrong. Remember I said about the 3 pillars, right? Pillar number 1 is about what am I looking for? I had no idea what I'm looking for. I just wanted to make money. I'm like, I want to get myself out of this mess. And so what did I do? I had no approach. I let my emotions just get like, oh, I should buy it now. I'm looking for this scalp here. I'm looking for this short property. Right? I started I started trading, right? And I spent all night trading, and I went to bed crying. Because here I was $250,000 in debt. I just borrowed $5,000 from my father-in-law. And I spent all night trading, and I blew up 50% of my trading account in one night. So I lost $2,500 of my father-in-law's money in the very first night trading. And I went to bed just crying because I'm just like, oh man, I spent the last 3, 4, 5 years, wherever it was at that time, I spent all this time, this energy, this effort doing all these courses and all these programs. I just really want this. And that was a bit of a massive turning point for me. Because over the next few years, I started to realize that the way that I was approaching these markets, it wasn't modeling someone who is successful in these markets. I was just doing based on what I thought was a good idea, right? And if I actually wanted to do well at this thing called trading, then I need to apply some discipline to my overall approach. And the discipline is like, I need to start to apply this in a way that I believe with someone, right? So that's when I started getting access to a 7-figure mentor, meaning he makes more than $1 million a year. And I started to see the way that he approaches the markets. I started modeling his success. And that's when everything started to slowly and surely, didn't happen straight away, but slowly and surely started to turn around for me. I started to learn what goes into a good quality setup, regardless of what market I'm looking for, because it's the same thing. I started learning the pillars of okay, this is how markets work. Some months are going to be quite active, and other months it might be a bit slow. You might have 2 or 3 weeks with no trades. And that's just the nature of the beast. And we must understand this going into this. And once I started to actually, if I actually wanted to do well at this thing, I must model these people who are doing really well out of it. Right? Because there's a lot of people out there doing really well. That's the reason why I have my coaching program every day. Right? So you're with me every day. So I'm helping you on a day-by-day basis within the big picture of trading well and making money this year out of the markets. And how do you handle those times when it's quiet and there's no trades? or you're taking a few trades and having a few losses. How do you handle that so you don't blow yourself up, right? So back when I borrowed the money from my father-in-law, I had no foundation, nothing. I had no 3 pillars. Right? I didn't have pillar number 1. Now, by the way, I learned a lot of different systems. I learned about the stochastics and RSIs and trend analysis and trend lines and the Elliott waves and Fibonacci's and moving averages and all this sort of stuff. I learned all that. I learned so much. But guess what? None. That's why when people say, I know a lot about these markets, it doesn't matter. It's all about can you put that into some sort of system and approach of these markets. System and approach means a system is, okay, yes, you know a lot about these markets, but people make money from markets because they have the ability to be able to wait as long as they have to and understand that not every single month is going to be different. This month you might have a handful of really nice trades that make some big profits, and next month there might be no trades at all. That's just the nature of the beast of how trading works, right? And so I had no system, and the reason why this was hard because my thinking was wrong. One of the biggest things that I had to overcome was trying to make money every week. I make $2,000 a week right now with my job. I make $100,000 a year. So therefore, I'm trying to make $2,000 this week so I can quit my job. And that thinking was completely wrong. Because remember I said before, right? What I said to you before was that me trying to make $2,000 right now was actually stopping me from making $100,000 per year. Because 1 month you might make $25,000. And the next month you might not make any money at all. And the next month you might be down 2 or 3 grand. And the next month you might make 40 grand. It's a really good month that month. You see what I'm saying here? This is the truth about trading. And once I started to realize, and once I started to get a good understanding of how this thing actually works and what I'm doing here, that's when everything started to slowly click into place. I started to understand, okay, the 3 pillars. What am I looking for? I need to apply some discipline to that. If I actually want to do well out of trading, I need to apply some discipline. So right now, the stock market, as I'm doing this video for you right now, stock market's going crazy. Things are happening, gold, silver, right? There's a lot of FOMO in the marketplace right now. It requires a level of discipline to say, I'm not getting involved with this emotion that's coming up right now. I need to wait. And as much as I want to trade right now, I need to wait for my setup. Because I know at the end of the year, if I do that, I'm going to make money this year. And if I don't, and I let my emotions, the FOMO, kick in right now, I'm going to blow myself up. You guys know that, right? Yes, you might get lucky on a trade here and there, but that's not building foundations, right? We want to build a solid foundation for the rest of our life. That's what I say to all my coaching clients when I'm with every single day. You know, again, if you're interested, link in the description. But the thing is, I'm always telling them, like, I want you to build a solid foundation and things, not gimmicks, but things, tools, tactics, approaches, and the way you're approaching these markets and thinking about these markets is true and solid on a solid foundation for the rest of your life. Not these gimmicks and stuff, right? Because there's those 3 pillars, and then on top of those 3 pillars I talked about, which is pillar number 1 is, what are you actually even looking for in a good setup? Now, with pillar number 1, how do you identify a good setup? Then second thing to that first pillar is, how do you identify a good setup that's likely to make a big move, right? Because that's what you want to see. And throughout the year, these setups do come around. They don't come around all often, but when these setups do come around, and you see these setups that's likely to make a big move, not just a move for a few days, but we're talking like a big move for like 4, 5, 6 weeks, 2 months. That's likely to make 4, 5, 6, potentially 1,000% return on options trades. Or like, for example, my gold trade that I was in for 6 weeks and I made close to 400% return on that. It's like, how do you identify those types of trades? By the way, it's not lucky. It's the same thing every single time, right? And then the pillar number 2 and 3 is consistency, discipline, patience. And pillar number 4 is that when you're in a trade, again, guys, this is the reason why, like, The system part is the first pillar. Yeah, I can teach you the system, but how good are you? How good are you? The second pillar, here's an amazing system. Now be disciplined to that, and don't take any other trades, and have patience. Ooh, give you 1 week, and now the FOMO, the emotions, right? This is why, like I always say to people that trade the markets, the number one thing to successful trading is the emotional control. Before you get into the trade, stopping yourself from just getting into bullshit that's not with your setup, and then stuff like that. And then obviously when you're in through there. So when I started to do that, I thought, oh man. And I remember going to bed just crying when I lost 50% of my father-in-law's money, because I'm just like, oh man, I want this. And then guess what my father-in-law said? Because he heard me be up all night. What happened first thing in the morning? How'd you go last night? Oh, why did you just fucking kill me right now? Oh. Right? It's like, and I told him what happened. And you know what he said to me? He said, maybe trading's not for you. Maybe you should go get a real job like most people. And he recommended me to become a manager of a fast food restaurant. And I'm pretty sure it was Red Rooster, which is, I'm not sure if there's a Red Rooster overseas, but it's basically like a KFC, right? There's KFC everywhere. But it was basically like one of those fast food chicken restaurants. And he recommended me to work at those places and become a manager because you can get good pay. And I said to him, nah, that's not for me. But if I actually wanted to continue this path on trading, I must start to really, really, really treat this seriously and start to apply a lot of discipline to what I'm actually doing here, and have systems, have processes, have thinking, and every day when I'm out looking at the markets, have a emotional regulation, so I'm not letting my emotions take control of this thing right here and letting myself click the button and blowing up 50% of my account. So the big thing I really wanted to share with you guys is, firstly, that when I first started trading, guys, I got lucky with a big bull market. So many people are getting lucky right now. You wait till the recession comes. Over the next couple of years, we're going to see a recession, and everything is going to get hit big time. Everything is going to get cut in half by 50%. Gold, silver, stocks, everything. Now, when that happens, I don't know. Is it now? Is the top now? Who knows, right? Is the big crash going to happen in 2025? Who knows, right? One thing I do say is that we are headed towards that. We all know that, especially us here in Australia. Us here in Australia, guess what? We haven't had a recession since the 80s. So there's going to be a massive, massive, massive shock against all people out there. And people that have regular jobs, people that are even in property market, the only survivors of the next couple of years, I truly believe, when it comes to the average person, we're not talking about the top 1%, right? Or the top 1% of 1%, right? They're whatever, right? But those who have the ability to be able to trade these markets well, both on the upside and downside, they're the ones that's actually going to do really, really, really well for this, right? So your number one skill right now, and I believe the number one skill moving forward for the rest of your life is the ability to be able to trade the markets, right? What sort of setup am I looking for? How do I manage this? How do I cut my losses short? Let my profit, like having that level there, and that takes time, right? It's not a get rich quick scheme. That's why, I recommend people having a minimum of 6 months with me, to help them out. And so when we're trading the markets, guys, just remember that, if you want to do really well if you actually want to do well from this thing called trading, then I want to save you a lot of hard work. And it's okay, your approach right now, how you approach the markets, your system, your approaching, your thinking, are you doing that based off someone that you know that you can trust and does really well from trading, right? And if the answer is no, you're not, then you're going to lose a lot of money. You're always going to be guessing. You're not building any solid foundation. And again, that's what my coaching program, those links in the description, you can apply for that there. So anyway, traders, I hope this really helps you out from there. This is something, guys, that's been brewing inside of me now, and I'm starting to see this from my phone calls And even I'm starting to get a little bit of FOMO myself, right? But I've learned through these times that it's just not worth it. Because you know yourself, when you let the FOMO kick in and you let your FOMO start control of this thing here, the mouse, guess what? It's just not gonna, it always ends up really, really, really badly. So have emotional control over this FOMO that's kicking in right now. And if you don't even actually have pillar number one, which is what actually am I looking for in a good setup, that's where you need to start.